Representative Mayberry, you're recognized for a question. Good. All right, I'm going to come back to Representative Plummer. I told her she had time to go outside. First time you ever passed, Representative Mayberry. Representative Hammer, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you. And to any one of the three of y'all would like to answer these questions. I may have misheard, but did I hear that you sent out 7,000 invitations to come and to offer, participate in getting contracts for the guy?
Yes, 7,000 direct mail pieces.
Okay, to companies or entities to invite them to come.
We identified companies or community-based organizations that seem to have a reach or an interest in their community in doing this kind of work. And 1,000 were identified through workers with us in an advisory committee over a period of months, some focus group work, special committees, and then we had UAMS through a marketing piece take that list and find like organizations until we had a list of 7,000 direct mail pieces inviting bids.
Okay, and it's down to 30. And I'm just curious, 7,000 down to 30 is a pretty big swing, and I'm just wondering how many of those chose not to sign up or even petition to sign up on the basis, and on what reasons did they choose not to? Did you get that information?
Representative, I don't. I suspect it's financial. Nobody's going to make a lot of money doing this. It's pretty much community service, commitment to work to get people enrolled, and the amount of money given is not a lot.
Okay. And just like the ones that are in yellow, I'm looking at Saline County because that's what I represent. So if they're in yellow, does that mean that they've qualified to go out and do this work, or they're going to be put under contract?
Yellow just identifies them as a part of the state. So if you look at the back, like the last page, it's going to say yellow is the Central Health Region, for example.
Okay.
But if their name is on there, they've been qualified.
They've been qualified. Okay. Then that brings me to this question because, like Representative Meeks was looking over some of these entities, and quite honestly, I wonder what in the world, what business they've got going out offering anything, given some of their interests and some of their agendas. So what's the monitoring process to make sure that these people aren't using this as an avenue to expand their base and go out and do other things other than just when they walk out and talk to people, they're going to stay within the boundaries of this is health care that they're out there talking to them about? What's the monitoring progress to hold them accountable?
They will have monthly reporting. We will invoice based on their deliverables. We will have contract monitors who are directly in the field, and they are licensed. So if we have complaints or if they're not doing what they're expected to do, or ethically what a licensed person by our department would do, they will have discipline up to losing their license, not being able to do this.
Okay, and 637 folks, when do we expect that once they go through and everybody that's been identified as far as being on the Medicaid population, when do we expect them to become unemployed because the market is saturated and their roles are complete, and how are we going to go about backing out of this?
I cannot answer that question. I kind of look at it the other way around. We're going to employ 637 people who aren't employed maybe today.
Okay, then my last question is this. This is all coming as a result of federal funding that we're able to hire these 637 people, correct?
That is.
And is that federal funding an indefinite funding in order? Are these people actually going to be federal employees or state employees that are there because they've received a federal grant? And at what point are they going to transition over to the state payroll when that federal funding goes away? Do we have any long-term guarantees?
Okay, let me answer it this way. First, they're not state employees unless it's a state organization that's
under contract.
Federal funds, the community-based organization will be the employer. As long as we are a partnership state, this is federal funding that comes to do that. At some point, and it is the plan to become a state-based exchange, then the premium fee that is charged, the same premium fee that's charged today, is not expected to have to increase and would cover those costs if the state elected to continue to do this. Honestly, we think the need will go down because once people are enrolled, once they know how to do this, once they've been through through kind of an intense process in the first several years. We don't think we will need as much as we have in the beginning, but there would be a plan for premium fees and the marketplace, however it looks, to cover those expenses in the future.
Okay, well, let me just make sure I'm not misunderstanding what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong in my interpretation. Then in order to keep these 637 people on the payroll, at some point in the future, if the federal government does not choose to continue the grant out of which these people are being contracted, then the premium fees are going to be the mechanism to pick up the cost to keep them out there. Is that correct?
If the state elected to want to continue this program, there's nothing in here that says this has to continue beyond this open enrollment period in the first couple of years as we do a partnership.
Yeah, Representative Hammer, we're not going to have 630 whatever navigators or whatever they're called a year from now or 2 years from now.
Well, and I would hope not, but then on the other hand, I didn't hear that answer, so I was trying to qualify, are we or are we not? I guess time will tell, so I'll stop.
And to that point, there's no state dollars here. This is part of the federal contract that was approved in December for the federally facilitated exchange, the $18 million. I think if you're going to do this, it's structured in the right way, which is instead of hiring a bunch of new state employees, you're relying on entities that have operations in the community. And to your Representative Meeks' point, they may not be necessarily organizations that have a niche in healthcare, but that's not really the point because of the training that they're going to go through. But instead of just hiring advertising for people to walk off the street and say, let us train you to operate this program or to serve in this capacity, we're going to contract out instead of hiring state employees, and we're going to rely on organizations that touch every aspect of the community and let them facilitate the hiring and the management, all while undergoing the appropriate training to make sure they know what they're doing to the extent possible.
Okay, well, my final point, and then I'll back out because I know you got other questions, and I'm going to go back and check this one out personally because it's in my county. But you've got a place called Living in Affected Corporation, and when I look at what their policy statement is, I have a personal issue with somebody receiving money, going out, accessing homes under the pretense of signing people up under Medicaid, and then you look at their agenda and what it is. To me, it's just a backdoor approach, and that's a totally unrelated issue, but I'm going back and look to see how it is that these people became qualified, or these entities became qualified when 7,000 was the starting point. We whittled it down. So, that's my point of contention as far as how these people got signed up and how we're going to monitor them once they're in the home. But
it's fair. I've had an issue with a couple of groups that were, potentially going to be selected. So,
okay, thank you.
Understand.
Thank you for the answers.
But at the end of the day, I'd stress once again that there's monitoring, there's management. They're not what you described. They're not supposed to do, and if they do, then the contract would be terminated. Is that correct, Ms. Crone? They're hiring these people to somehow promote or expand their organization in ways other than what the contract is specified for.
And I guess what I would hope you would hear is that the insurance department's committed to consumer protection. So that is part of our mission